If you like this video, please press the subscribe button to subscribe to this channel, and also give it a thumbs up. Science and scientism are radically different things, despite the similarities in their names. Science is a methodology for studying the natural world and how it works. Scientism, on the other hand, is a philosophical and metaphysical perspective on science. It can be seen as an excessive belief in the power of scientific knowledge and methodology. It sees science as the only objective way of determining truth. It includes unwarranted application of science to areas that do not lend themselves to scientific inquiry. Science is empirical, quantitative, mechanical, self-correcting, and falsifiable. According to scientism, however, science alone gives truth, and this truth is absolute. Matter is the primary reality, that is materialism. Behavior is determined by impersonal forces. All values are merely social conventions. The coming of an ideal society is guaranteed. At its core, scientism extends from the philosophy of absolute naturalism. God or anything else beyond nature is excluded as even a possibility for consideration. Despite claims to the contrary by its adherents, scientism is essentially a religious devotion to science from an atheistic perspective and an absolute devotion to philosophical naturalism. It is possible to make use of the scientific method while maintaining God as a viable explanation for observed phenomena. It is also possible to formulate scientific theories that include God, but yet satisfy the scientific need for testability. Unfortunately, the inherently atheistic philosophy of scientism is taught in many schools as the only acceptable philosophy of science. This is a primary reason why there seems to be a conflict between science and religion. That is, ultimately, establishment science leaves no place for God and excludes him as even an allowed explanation for anything. This has become a dominant philosophy in science education, such that most people who study science only get this philosophy and no other philosophy of science. Whether or not they want to call it a religion is irrelevant. The fact is that it is their devotion that is religious in nature, even if they reject the label of religion for scientism itself. One of the strongest indications of the religious nature of scientism is the way its adherents react when you even question certain claims made under the auspices of science. Two of the long-standing examples are universal common descent evolution and man-caused climate change. Regardless of your reasons for questioning these, a failure to blindly accept either one will get you labeled anti-science and/or a science denier. This is regardless of how much actual science you present to make your case. To the adherents of scientism, science is not just the methodology of science, but scientific claims made under its auspices are simply not allowed to be questioned. They will also frequently claim that any opposition that you do make to these claims is based on an erroneous understanding of those theories. They will make this claim even when they cannot point out any way in which you are actually wrong. The claim will often be made that this devotion is towards science and not towards some religion. However, it is possible to have a religious devotion to something that is not inherently religious. Sports are a good example of this. Many sports fans have a religious quality to their devotion to those sports teams that they are fans of. Also, it needs to be remembered that the word fan is derived from the word fanatic. The point is that while science itself is not religious, those whose worldview qualifies as scientism do indeed have a religious devotion. It is not just to science, but to science under the presupposition of absolute naturalism. One of the main problems with this view of science is that they see objectivity not as reproducibility, but in being able to view the world from a perspective that does not involve us. This so-called objectivity also requires absolute naturalism, thereby excluding God right from the start. This form of objectivity is actually impossible because we all have preconceptions. Sometimes those preconceptions are destroyed by evidence, if we allow it to be. Interestingly, those who claim objectivity the most show it the least in actual practice. This is because they will never consider a different perspective from the one they actually have on reality.